Enhancing PE in Illinois, updates, next steps, and a success story. My name is Gianna Simon. I'm a program manager here at the Illinois Public Health Institute, and I will be facilitating the webinar today. So thank you all again for joining. We will go ahead and just jump right in here. First, a few logistics. I'm trying to move these slides. So some housekeeping. You all have this toolbar on the right-hand column, right-hand part of your screen. You can minimize and maximize it throughout so that you can view our screen. There's several materials that have been attached to the materials section here, so you can download those PDFs. And we may also answer questions and put additional links in the chat box as well. If you're having any technical issues or you need to submit, you can email Sarah Chused at that email there on the screen. And finally, if you have questions throughout, we encourage you to submit them in the questions or the chat feature of the webinar so that we can read your questions out to our speakers later today. Just a note about redeeming the CDPU, so your 1 credit hour. You need to email the completed ISB evaluation form to Sarah here at the email listed here, and we'll reiterate that again at today's webinar. A note that the webinar will be recorded today, so we are starting that recording. That way it'll be available for you to listen to after the fact and or to share. We also need to note that for the CDPU, to be eligible to receive that 1 credit being offered, participants must fill out and return the ISB completion form. And the evaluation form is located also in the materials section on the sidebar. Participants must also actively listen to and participate in the entire webinar and will need to have provided an IEIN number when you registered. But those that listen to the recording at a later point, you will also need to email Sarah to request an affidavit form required as evidence of time spent on this activity. So once our organization receives the required documents or information and verifies participation, we will then issue the evidence of completion form for the CPDU. So if you have any questions about that, please feel free to email Sarah. Again, her email is the one here on the screen. So again, my name is Gianna Simon. I'm here at the Illinois Public Health Institute. I'm a manager for our Center for Policy and Partnership Initiatives. The webinar is being co-hosted by the Illinois Public Health Institute, the Illinois Alliance to Prevent Obesity, and the Illinois State Board of Education. So the Illinois Alliance to Prevent Obesity works to stabilize and reduce obesity trends in Illinois through coordinated and comprehensive policy, systems, and environmental changes. And our coalition is convened and administered by our organization here, the Illinois Public Health Institute. And we're thankful to have ISB and Sean Bax join us today for the webinar as co-hosts. Our 2 presenters later, who I will introduce, include Sean Bax, who's the Principal Education Consultant for Nutrition and Wellness Programs at the Illinois State Board of Education. And then we also have Jane Bagas, the Assistant Superintendent at Berwyn South School District 100, who will also be sharing their story around enhanced PE. So for the webinar today, we have a few different objectives. We want to provide an overview of enhanced PE, the return on investment for enhanced PE programs, and the new PE requirements in the state. So give an overview of where we've been and what the requirements are. We want to provide some implementation guidance for you, share findings from the first round of fitness testing, since all that data was submitted for the first time to the state this year. And then we want to share Berwyn South School District 100's enhanced PE implementation success story as well. So first, defining physical education, just to make sure we're all on the same page throughout the webinar. Physical education is a planned sequence of developmentally appropriate activities and games that educate students about and through movement. It's a planned curriculum also providing opportunities for students to learn about the importance of being active and working with others as they practice physical skills. A note on how is PE different from physical activity. While it's important for students to have physical activity opportunities throughout the school day, especially to reach their 60 recommended minutes of physical activity a day, there is nothing that can replace physical education. The education, the E in the PE, is just as important as the P, the activity. So physical education is different from and complements physical activity, and that is instructed by a qualified teacher who assesses student knowledge, motor, and social skills to establish and sustain a healthy lifestyle. The goal is to develop physically literate students. And what does it mean to be physically literate? Well, physical literacy is mastering of fundamental movement skills and fundamental sport skills that permit a child to read their environment and make appropriate decisions, allowing them to move confidently and with control in a wide range of physical activity situations. In other words, physical educators help provide students with knowledge, skills, and confidence to enjoy a lifetime of physical activities. PE is also unique in that the educator must cover all three learning domains: cognitive, psychomotor, and affective, meaning their mental skills and knowledge, growth and feelings and emotional areas, as well as their manual or physical skills. And high quality PE is as important as math, science, or any other core subject because it correlates directly to the health and well-being of students for the rest of their lives. So how did we get to the enhanced PE movement in Illinois? And the Illinois State Board of Education, Illinois Department of Public Health, and Illinois Public Health Institute came together in 2011. We were invited to the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention's sort of summit on the Guide to Community Prevention Services to review a set of the evidence-based interventions available for addressing obesity. That group looked through the guide and they decided that they wanted to promote enhanced physical education throughout Illinois. And enhanced physical education entails increasing the length of or activity levels in school-based PE classes with the goal that students should be engaged in moderate to vigorous physical activity levels for at least 50% of class time. So physical education is an evidence-based strategy promoted by the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention as a way of increasing physical activity and improving health. So why did the Illinois delegation choose enhanced PE? It was selected for a number of reasons. One, we know regular physical activity is associated with a lower risk of developing chronic diseases, such as type 2 diabetes, heart disease, and some cancers. But also the growing body of neuroscience research demonstrating the connection between physical activity and improved student academic health and behavior outcomes was really compelling for the delegation. So we really wanted to promote the research that's been established that links PE and enhanced PE to improve test scores, improved academics, better behavior in class, as well as improving the health outcomes. Illinois schools are starting to implement and finding a return on investment for using enhanced PE methods and programs. They're seeing improvements in student learning, in-class behavior, and in health. And so we'll take a closer look at some of the academic benefits associated with enhanced PE in some of the following slides. So this image, many of you have probably seen it at this point, is a well-used image from a researcher out of the University of Illinois, Chuck Hillman. So these images demonstrate the impact of movement on brain function. So this is a composite of the scans of 20 middle school students' brains while they were taking the same test. The brain image on the left is a composite image of students who sat quietly before taking the test, and the brain image on the right is the same 20 students taking a test after they had walked for 20 minutes. So you see the brain on the right is much more lit up, indicating that the students were ready to learn and were engaged. And in fact, students who regularly are scheduled for daily PE directly before courses they're struggling with the most, usually math or literacy, those students have been shown to demonstrate growth a full grade level higher than their peers. So having that physical activity right before a challenging course is really helping their brains get ready to learn. You can download the enhanced PE fact sheet in the materials sidebar. And it outlays a lot more of the research related to the brain-body connection and the neuroscience. So what has Illinois done? So the delegation chose enhanced PE and decided to promote it. There was a few different state task forces that were created. An enhanced PE strategic plan was created in 2012. And really, we started to promote enhanced PE across the state. Using the link between moderate to vigorous physical activity, physical fitness with health and academic achievement. We started this sort of multi-year effort in Illinois. So we shifted to the enhanced PE approach, and in that there was a task force that helped to make recommendations for revising the state learning standards for physical development and health. These are state goals 19 through 24 of the learning standards. And those went into effect in the 2015-16 academic year. And then after that, there was a new law that also required fitness testing to help students achieve and maintain a health-enhancing level of physical fitness based on continual self-assessment. And this fitness testing requirement went into effect in the 2016-17 academic year, just this past school year. Reporting the average number of days of physical education schools provide per week per student is also on the Illinois report card. So we've been sort of promoting daily enhanced physical education across the state. So a little bit more about the policy changes. And I will say before we go in, it's just a note about daily PE. So the Illinois General Assembly recently passed the landmark education funding reform bill. The transition to a new, more equitable evidence-based school funding formula will help address disparities between high-income and low-income districts and improve long-term health outcomes of our most vulnerable residents. However, advocates are disappointed the law included the provision changing the requirement that all K-12 students are provided with daily PE. So now leaves it a little bit more up to each district with a minimum of 3 days per week of PE, but we still want to promote ideally 5 days per week of PE. There's no substitute for daily high-quality PE, which helps students meet their national physical activity guidelines as well as promote this connection to learning and behavior. And advocates will continue to support, and IPHI will continue to support many local districts as well in improving PE and implementing high-quality daily PE across the state. So policy changes in more detail, the integrating the neuroscience into the state learning standards. We will do a sort of high-level overview of the revisions made by the state learning standards, and then also talk about the fitness testing. So I'll do a little bit about the learning standards, and then Sean will come in and talk about the fitness testing requirements. Again, the learning standards were implemented in the 2015-2016 academic year. So broad features of the standards. The new standards incorporated the best practices and the new neuroscience on the brain and body connection. And they focused, they changed the focus of the curriculum to be more about health and fitness rather than competition and sports. There is a link here on the slide, which links you to the state learning standards on the State Board of Education's website. And that they provide the learning standards as well as the performance descriptors. A task force had worked with the State Board of Education to make recommendations based on the neuroscience on these revisions, and then the State Board of Education adopted those recommendations as the new learning standards. They incorporate the latest research, best models, and tips for achieving optimal student health and academic achievement. So you can see here the green highlighted areas what the performance descriptors look like if you go to that State Board of Education website. So 2 new learning standards were added. One was around advocating for individual, family, and community health. This is so that students through grades, K through 12 can be on a trajectory of first being able to recognize their own needs around health and being able to advocate for when they need assistance with their health, all the way through high school when they might be able to promote their own community's health as well. Another standard was added on this, describing how the structures and functions of the brain are impacted by physical activity. So this is really about making sure students understand how physical activity impacts their brain and their learning and academic achievement, and making sure they understand the basic functions of the brain as well. Again, I mentioned it shifted the focus to health and fitness, so we're really focusing on the lifelong fitness and healthy lifestyle. It incorporated a lot of the socio-emotional learning standards and focused on cooperation and teamwork, and again, focused on that brain-body connection. So we'd encourage you again to go to that website and look at the new standards if you have not done so already. So we have a poll for the group. We'd love for you to participate. So we're about to launch it, and the question is, does your school or district have a standards-based PE or health curriculum in place currently? So Sarah will go ahead and launch the poll here, and we give you a few seconds to go ahead and complete that. How many, did we close the poll? Yes. All right, we've now closed the poll. Can you share the results?
Yep, so we had 63% of you are using a standards-based PE and health curriculum, and 37% no.
Great. So again, we encourage you to look at these, especially those of you who may not have a curriculum in place. We encourage you to look at the website as well as reach out. Potentially, we can offer some resources around technical assistance to districts who want to revise their curriculum and ensure they align to the state learning standards. So some action steps around curriculum development. If you're an administrator or a curriculum specialist, make sure your educators know about the revisions. I think that's step number one. Of course, we encourage you to adopt a standards-based PE curriculum. Just as PE is a core subject, much like all the other subjects, having a standards-based curriculum will help PE teachers and the schools plan for and align with those state learning standards. We want to make sure we give physical educators time to work together to incorporate the revised learning standards into their curriculum and classroom activities. So allowing that time for that conversation to occur is important. Encourage posting the standards in gymnasiums and facilities in your schools and districts so that students understand what they're expected to know as well. And hold physical educators to the same standards as other teachers. I think because it is a core subject similar to all the other ones, physical educators are experts in their field and should be held to the same standards as their peers. The Illinois Public Health Institute does offer trainings for PE teachers, and we provide technical assistance to districts to align curriculum to revised state learning standards. We'll talk more about that to come. I think moving forward, a lot of it is fee for service, but some grant dollars do become available for us to offer that to various districts across the state. So I'm going to go ahead and now turn this over to Sean Bax at the Illinois State Board of Education, who will do an overview of the required fitness assessments in Illinois, and we'll hear some findings from the first round of fitness data. So Sean, go ahead and take it away.
Thanks, Jana. Well, one of the recommendations from the task force was to develop and utilize metrics to assess the impact of enhanced PE, and the report included a recommendation that schools adopt the Presidential Youth Fitness Program and its fitness measurement program. The recommendation led to continued discussions by legislators and PE advocates across the state. And with the Illinois Public Health Institute, the Illinois Alliance to Prevent Obesity at the forefront of the effort, Public Act 980859, shown here, was enacted to implement fitness testing in Illinois in the 2016-17 school year. The law requires scientifically based health-related fitness assessments to be given to Illinois students every year for grades 3 through 12, except for aerobic capacity, which is grades 4 through 12. And I'll go over those 4 required assessments shortly. Note that the scores from these assessments cannot be used to grade students or to evaluate teachers. So what is the reason for these fitness assessments? How can they help? Well, for students, it will teach them how to assess their own fitness levels. It will help them set goals for improvement, and it will allow them to monitor their progress in reaching these goals. These assessments will also help PE teachers by putting the focus on developing physically literate students with the skills for lifelong fitness and health through implementation of health-related physical fitness assessments in grades 3 through 12. It will also help PE teachers by enforcing the state goals to teach students the impact of physical activity on brain function and helping physical educators meet State Goal 20, which is for students to achieve and maintain a health-enhancing level of physical fitness based upon continual self-assessment. Finally, it's going to help PE teachers in that the results will inform instruction. For example, if students are not improving on a particular assessment, they can adjust the approach to better meet their needs. These assessments will also help the state by creating a state fitness data system to help track how well Illinois is doing in helping kids to be fit and how we can improve. It'll also help by signifying measures the effectiveness of State Goal 20 of the Illinois Learning Standards for Physical Development and Health. We need to measure that. And finally, these assessments will help the public by assisting parents, health and physical education advocates to regularly monitor fitness levels over time. So what are these actual testing requirements? They are as follows, that starting in school year 2016-17, which was last year, public school districts must first train those administering the assessments, and I'll go into detail in the next slide. They must maintain evidence of those folks having completed training. They must establish procedures and protocols to ensure confidentiality of assessment results. They must administer the required 4 assessments using either FitnessGram or Brockport physical fitness test when needed for adaptation in the second semester and annually thereafter. The 4 required assessments are aerobic capacity, with the recommended test being the pacer or the alternate test being the mile run, muscular strength using the push-up test, muscular endurance using the curl-up test, and flexibility using the back saver sit and reach or the alternate test of the trunk lift. At the discretion of a student's IEP team, the person administering the test should use an appropriate Brockport alternative to assess fitness for appropriate components of fitness, and note this on the IEP. And the final requirement is to collect the required aggregate data from schools and report those results through the Student Health Data System in IWAS by June 30th and annually thereafter. I'm excited to talk about the data findings as we had quite a good response. And note, please, that no matter how many days per week your school offers PE, the fitness testing is still required each year. Now, as I mentioned, the training requirements, you must ensure that school personnel administering the assessment review the following chapters of the FitnessGram Test Administration Manual: how to administer the test, the information on aerobic capacity, the muscular strength, endurance, and flexibility chapters, and if applicable, if you have folks or students that need adaptations, the Brockport Physical Fitness Test Manual. The person administering the test must also review the profiles, test selection guides, standards, and fitness zones for administering these tests. It is also recommended that staff, while not required, it is recommended that staff watch the training videos. These were developed by California's Department of Education and last anywhere from 4 to 8 minutes, and they've been proven very helpful to most. Districts must maintain record of review and make it available to ISB upon request. The links to these training videos and documents can be assessed in question number 3 of ISBE's Q&A, and you'll find that link in the webinar sidebar. Now, please know that when selecting which assessments to use in Illinois, the task force was careful to ensure no cost is involved. So all resources needed to administer the required tests are available for free at pyfp.org. That's the Presidential Youth Fitness Program. Note, you will need to register to access these resources, but it's quick and easy. The resources that are available include the testing protocols, a one-pager on the test administration, the full handbook on the test administration, equipment workarounds, guides on interpreting results, as well as Brockport alternative testing. There is also an Illinois-specific free data collection spreadsheet, and the Q&A is available on ISB's website at the address shown here. There are links to each of those test administration manuals in that Q&A document as well. Now, as far as the reporting requirements go, by June 30th, districts will need to submit the aggregate data for each school to ISB through the Student Health Data System in the ISB's Web Application Security, that's IWAS system, for the following information: the number of students tested by grade, that's 5, 7, and 10 only, and their gender. We want to know how many of those students met the healthy fitness zone and how many needed improvement. So grades 5, 7, and 10, male, female, and whether or not they met the healthy fitness zone. All students are to be reported together, whether you use the FitnessGram or the Brockport to assess that student. Note that although schools are free to use other types of reporting software, such as the paid version of FitnessGram, schools can use the free Illinois-specific data collection spreadsheet. Again, that's located on ISB's website shown here. It's also included in the handout section of the webinar sidebar. Once collected, districts will need to upload that data into the IWAS system. And please note too, there is no software program, whether using FitnessGram or the free Illinois-specific spreadsheet, that'll automatically upload your data into WINS. Some people have asked about a screenshot. If you wish to see a screenshot of the data that you'll be entered into WINS ahead of time or into IWAS, You can take a look at that. That's on the last page of ISB's Q&A document. So what does the data look like from year 2016-17? This is our first year, and I'm very excited to report that more than 96% of the 2,475 schools in Illinois that were required to report reported as such, and we're able to show that 63% of grades 5, 7, and 10 across the state met the healthy fitness zone for aerobic capacity that was using either the PACER or the mile run test. 65% of 5th, 7th, and 10th graders across the state met the healthy fitness zone for muscular endurance that was using the push-up test. 79% of 5th, 7th, and 10th graders across the state met the healthy fitness zone for muscular endurance using the curl-up test. And 72% of the grades 5, 7, and 10 across the state met the healthy fitness zone for flexibility, and that was using either the back saver sit and reach test or the trunk lift test. Jana, I'm going to go ahead and transition it back over to you to discuss how to make this data meaningful.
Great, thank you, Sean. And I think it's really exciting to see the data and that so many schools reported in this first year, so that's fantastic. So we want to make sure that once you have data and now you have seen the state average, you can compare your own school or district data to that state average. We want to make sure that the data is used in a meaningful way to inform PE programs. So of course, we have to pay attention to the details of the actual testing. We want to be as accurate and consistent as possible when testing to ensure validity and reliability and make it meaningful. Do something with the results once you have it. Just a note, it is crucial to follow the correct testing protocols and procedures so that the test can be valid and reliable. And so following those manuals and making sure you've reviewed the testing instructions is really important before anyone does these assessments. So making it meaningful, teaching students how to assess their fitness levels, setting goals for improvement, and monitoring progress in reaching their goals. Physical fitness assessment results can be very informational and motivating for students as they take personal ownership of their data and their fitness, and so it can really be used as a motivating factor on the individual level to have students set goals and reach those goals over the course of a year or as years progress. Data can also be used to better meet student needs. So if a student's not making progress on assessment, an educator can then tweak their approach to better meet their needs. So we actually encourage schools to do pre and post fitness tests if you have the time. The post obviously is the one that's required by the state, but if you're able to do a beginning of the year test and an end of the year test, it may allow students to set their goals, track their progress over the course of that year, and see the results at the end of the year. And again, while the task force recommends pre and post testing, it is only required at the end of the year by that June, with reports by that June 30th deadline. You can also use the data and the results to assess your PE programs so that where students' strengths and weaknesses are and identify trends in the data. So for example, if you look at the state data Sean just presented, it looks as if over time, when you compare 5th, 7th, and 10th grade, students are gaining strength and muscular endurance, although they seem to be doing not as well on aerobic capacity over time. So that's an example of where you can assess what are the strengths and weaknesses of our program that are resulting in this data. Can we maybe add more aerobic capacity in the high school years to help kids increase their aerobic capacity at that time? So you can really use the data to compare what are our strengths and weaknesses and where can we help students and tweak our programs to help them improve their strength, endurance, aerobic capacity, flexibility, etc. We obviously have different examples by grade level. Each grade level will be a little bit different in how you can do this curriculum change or changes to your PE program. So for example, if you want to make a curricular change in elementary school, you could as part of your sort of stations, if you had hula hoops and jump ropes and balls out for students to do sort of a station circuit, a teacher could create 3 stations that improve upper body muscular strength and endurance, including wall push-ups, patty cake push-ups, and line push-ups. And then throughout the year, the teacher would continue to design activities that would help students meet the goal if, let's say, upper body strength was one of the issues they were trying to address. Teachers can also use fitness data to advocate for their programs through other community events like health fairs, parent and child activity nights, open houses, and other school events. If you can use your program resources and advocate for more program resources to the community using fitness testing and the gains students are making as a way to show the importance of the work that you're doing. And results from fitness testing can also be vital to PE program assessment and evaluation and can be used to guide curriculum changes and program enhancements. So again, you cannot use results to grade students or evaluate teachers, but you can use it to look at your overall programming and see if it's meeting the needs of your students in the community. And we encourage schools and districts to report your results to the public, allow parents and health and physical education advocates to see the data and see how the school is doing overall, and especially maybe compared to the state average. So how can school administrators help support fitness testing? One, being on a webinar such as this is a good place to start. So learning the link between physical fitness and improved student outcomes and promoting that link to the community and the public is a good place to start and sort of changing the culture around enhanced PE. Providing substitutes and coverage for teachers while they fitness test or adding extra support. People who can help them fitness test during PE class time. Treating fitness testing as you would any other important academic test, so allowing the time necessary to do so. Providing professional development opportunities for PE teachers is also important so that they have time to review the protocols and seek professional development to ensure enhanced PE as well as the fitness testing is done correctly. Also encouraging daily enhanced physical education will also help in allowing them the time in the week to be able to fit fitness testing into all the other curricular demands of a high quality PE program. And my last slide here before I turn it over to our next speaker, gaining community buy-in. I think it's important for the community and parents to understand the connection between movement and fitness and their improved student outcomes, both health and academic. And so you can use enhanced PE fact sheets and handouts here as well as the experience of teachers and students to really promote to the community the importance of daily enhanced PE and why it's important that we're focusing on this in schools. Obviously, notify parents of fitness testing. We have some sample language you can use to do that. Place information in classroom and school newsletters, talking about the connection between enhanced PE and student outcomes as well as upcoming opportunities for fitness testing. You can hold family fitness nights and other community events to incorporate fitness testing into the knowledge of parents as well. Post links to the training videos on your school webpage or use parent volunteers to assist in test administration with the caveat that everybody doing test administration does need to review the proper test administration as part of the training requirements. So we will take questions at the end of this, but let me hand it over to our final speaker of the webinar. So Jane Bagas is the Assistant Superintendent at Berwyn South School District 100, and she is going to share her district's enhanced PE success story. So Jane, I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to you.
Thank you for inviting me to tell the Berwyn South story with our successes of working together to create a healthy school climate and culture. Berwyn South School District 100 is an elementary school district that is 10 miles west of downtown Chicago. We're next to the towns of Cicero, Oak Park, Lyons, and Riverside. We have 8 schools with 4,000 students ages preschool through 8th grade. Our student body is approximately 87% Hispanic, Latino, 75% English language learners, 75% low income, 15% with disabilities, and really only 22% of our students meet or exceed or meet the readiness standard on the Park State test. These numbers indicate that Berwyn is considered an at-risk community, but those numbers are not our factors that we like to talk about. The staff in Berwyn are proud of our commitment to being an inclusive district with co-teachers to support students with disabilities in general education classrooms. We have procedures in place to support LGBTQ students and have committed to a broad definition of good health and what that means to our students and staff. So our beginning, once upon a time, we had a superintendent, Dr. Stanley Fields, in 2008 that became our superintendent. And he was a leader that cared greatly about his own health and fitness and that of our students and the school communities. He truly believed that active children do better. They make better learners. He had been a high school administrator and promoted sports and continued that with our administrators. The administrators had to make personal health and fitness goals. So I wrote that I would do yoga 3 times a week, and would learn how to meditate to lower stress, and that I would run 6 miles a week. All the things that we all talk about doing, but when you have to show artifacts of it to your boss, it becomes a reality. And so that set the goals for the administrators and trickle down to staff and students. The principals are required to write health goals in their school improvement plans. And Dr. Fields first suggested to the group that we apply for the Healthier School U.S. School Challenge. And so let the changes begin. This recognition process began with team nutrition, that we began working closely with Aramark, who's our #1 partner, our food service, to make changes needed for breakfast and lunch selections. It was the beginning of the demise of the cupcakes for birthdays and parties in the classroom. It was the end of teachers drinking soda out of cans in classroom, and it was the beginning of rewarding students without using candy or snacks, and the implementation of PBIS and positive strategies. 6 of our schools won gold and 2 won silver that year, and we just kept moving on. We began our wellness committee with our district coordinator and school representatives. Our parents got involved with our parent engagement committee also. Our second step was networking with the community members. Schools are large community of specialists themselves. We have nurses and social workers and guidance counselors, PE teachers at every school that make up our health support team for each school. But teachers and staff are busy people teaching and caring for our 4,000 students on a daily basis, and we needed help. So we began to expand our wellness team. And you can too. We chose our Berwyn Health Department, our local McNeil Hospital, our local Park District and YMCA. We included the Berwyn Fire Department, the Berwyn Police Department, and Costco is in town, and they're one of our biggest fans. They come to all of our events and provide us with water and healthy snacks. And it began, our Health and Wellness Committee began being an active planning team. We started looking at Cook County Department of Public Health as our partners. They do hearing and vision screenings for us. The Illinois Public Health Institute and Alliance for Healthier Generation began working with our team. We created before and after school Zumba and running clubs for our staff and parents. We had a knitting club because that's also good for lowering stress. Making baby blankets for shelters is rewarding for students. We then began our challenge of becoming a healthy hotspot, and could not have done it without CCD-PH expertise and training with us every step of the way. Students began to learn about service and charity through these events too, in raising funds for local children that might have an illness or families. We celebrated National Nutrition Month and Heart Health Month, all very fun activities that bring awareness to the education. Our fourth step in the team was one of the things that I think is most important in our school district in the last couple of years is that we applied to become community eligible for a no-cost breakfast and lunch for all of our students. Truly knowing that our children have eaten breakfast and are given access to a free lunch knows that the teachers know that the children have a full belly and are on the way to learning all day long. We have student and staff basketball games, blood drives, The Biggest Loser, healthy recipe cook-offs, and I know that most school districts do these types of activities too. It really makes a difference when you start to document all the different activities that you do in your own school so that you too can take benefit of it. Family fitness nights, walking to school with the Berwyn Police Department, and creating safe ways for children to get to school. One of our best popular events is the annual wellness fair, where all the different communities bring their information, and children do dances and the pom-pom squad, and we have plank challenges, and it really highlights the end of the year for us. One of the criteria in being a Let's Move active school is to provide learning environments where students participate in physical activities before, during, and after school. And so our quality PE program really stepped up to begin to create our curriculum focused on the learning standards. The fifth step is District 100 began prioritizing health and wellness in 2008, but it wasn't until we joined the Healthy Hotspot Initiative in 2015 that our hard work began to transpire into the defined culture within our schools. Led by the Cook County Department of Public Health, we aim to multiply the numbers of places that make healthy living easier in and near our suburban Cook County communities. PE teachers from all 8 District 100 schools attended a Pump Up PE training hosted by the Illinois Public Institute. Oftentimes during the Teacher Institute days, the PE teachers were left without a relevant session or training to attend, and they have really become proud in their joint efforts to roll out the Illinois Enhanced Learning Standard and mandated fitness testing. It was imperative that these teachers receive the appropriate training to implement the required practices. This full-day training, which you'll hear more about later, focuses on the techniques of increasing moderate to physical activities, time during PE, and proper administration of the fitness protocols. This training gave the PE teachers applicable strategies that they could immediately build into their instruction. We also received training on best practices for assessment in PE and building a wellness team from the AHG. The Wellness Committee was looking for a tool to help guide our decision-making and organize our priorities. We wanted to ensure that the district wellness policies were being implemented with fidelity and our schools are being held accountable. It really creates an impetus for change when you have a document telling you what the best practices are, and you work as a team and a school and then as a district to reach them. The Healthy Schools programs provided the framework of the best practices that we reach for. Through the Healthy Hotspot Initiative, District 100 has updated our local wellness policy, aligning our PE instruction to state learning standards and engaging a variety of our community stakeholders to continue to work with us. I believe that we've institutionalized our health and wellness practice by updating these procedures. We have earned some recognition and awards throughout the school years. These awards are important because of the process of assessing and evaluating, improving, implementing, and growing. They truly are, have given us the ability to have fit-friendly work sites, Healthy Hotspot Initiative benefits, and we could not have done it without the local, state, and community agencies. I thank you for letting us present our information, and please feel free to reach out to me if you want any more information.
Great, thank you so much, Jane, and you guys have done such a great job in your district to really promote enhanced PE and wellness in your schools. So thank you again for sharing your story. Before we go into question and answers, I'm just going to talk briefly about some of the professional development opportunities coming up for PE teachers. So the Illinois Public Health Institute runs a program called Pump Up P.E, which is one of the programs Jane was referring to. And this is a program aimed at training PE teachers to implement high-quality enhanced physical education programs in Illinois to prepare students for a lifetime of health and fitness. And it was developed with funding from the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention through the Healthy Hotspot Initiative led by the Cook County Department of Public Health. So 5 reasons you may want to send a teacher or attend the Pump Up PE training. You can see real results in your classroom. So this program is proven to build capacity of PE teachers and increase student physical activity levels after teachers have gone through the training. It'll help you strengthen your curriculum. It helps bring your PE and health curriculum into alignment with current best practices and the new state learning standards. It will help you meet state PE requirements, so it gives you the tools you need to ensure you are complying with the new state requirements around fitness testing and reporting. It will help maximize students' academic achievement, so evidence shows that regular physical activity is linked to better academic, behavioral, and health outcomes for students, and of course, support a lifelong fitness for students by providing them with the knowledge, skills, and confidence they need to enjoy a lifetime of physical activities. And we have a quote from one of the participants of our training here on the slide. So just a little bit more about the sort of idea that it has proven results. There's an independent evaluation by the Consortium to Lower Obesity in Chicago Children of the training, and it found statistically significant increases in knowledge and capacity of teachers who were trained through the program, as well as physical activity levels in PE classes at schools that sent teachers to the program, along with other professional development opportunities. So there's been over 800 PE teachers across the state from approximately 300 districts that have attended the training at this time, and the trainings are led by PE teacher trainings who are all peer teachers as well. They all have a long history of teaching in Illinois. We have full day trainings. So these are our most comprehensive version. They're packed with interactive discussions and peer-to-peer workshops. They dive really deep into mapping of lessons and the revised state learning standards, a lot of hands-on game modification and fitness testing administration practice. Then we have 2 expert trainers who lead these sessions, allowing for a lot more individualized attention with grade level specific examples and guidance throughout. And a full set of resources for teachers is provided in a binder with over 20 handouts with 6 CPDUs available for people who attend the full day training. We also have half-day trainings that are perfect more for institute day programming. They're streamlined and shorter, and they cost less, but they're good for districts on a budget. They provide all the same basic information, but a lot less time for the discussions, workshops, and there's no hands-on game modification practices in these versions. This one's led by only 1 expert training, but CPDUs are also available for this. We also can offer technical assistance sessions with our PE trainers. Districts can schedule technical assistance sessions with our master trainers to align your PE and health curriculum with the revised state learning standards. They can be tailored to your district's needs, budgets, and schedules. So you would reach out to Sarah here to figure out what your needs are, and we could try to match a trainer to your needs. And CPDUs can also be available for time spent, your teacher's time spent with the trainer. A few upcoming resources for you. On October 4th, there's a training in Kankakee. A small registration fee does apply, but that's being co-hosted by the Regional Office of Education there, as well as the Kankakee Health Department. And you'll see down the website at the bottom of the slide here where you can access more information about those trainings. There will also be a training October 26th in Springfield. Also, a registration fee applies for this one. And there may be 2 more training opportunities in the central and southern part of Illinois, either later this year or early 2018 as well. That will be free of charge. So keep your eye on that. We also send a quarterly Pump Up P.E. newsletter with enhanced PE updates and other professional development opportunities. So you can help spread the word or ask to be on that listserv, all by contacting our specialist in physical education here, Sarah Chusin, and her email again is here on the screen. And if you go to our website, iphionline.org/pump_up_PE, you can get all the information about our Pump Up P.E. program and all the training opportunities. There are a few additional resources for schools we want to point out. Our website has a lot of information, including the fact sheet from the Enhanced PE task forces, as well as a resource guide. There's also a Get Fit and Flourish manual, which is oriented more towards elementary and middle schools, but it has lots of classroom activity ideas for enhancing movement levels in PE classes. Of course, the State Board of Education website is also really critical for all of this information. So the revised learning standards, including their performance descriptors, are available at the website seen here on the screen. They have links to webinars we've done in the past, also available on our website, as well as a research summary that explores the links between physical activity, fitness, and cognitive function. Again, the State Board of Education website has information on fitness testing. The Presidential Youth Fitness Program website is where you can go for those free resources, as Sean pointed out. And then the Q&A on ISBE's website is really important to look at for the fitness assessment requirements. It's also updated regularly, so that's the key link to look at for anything that's changed related to fitness testing. So before we go into Q&A, we have one final poll for you. Two questions for about the webinar. So the first one is, how useful was the webinar today? Sorry, I can't read everything on my screen. How useful was the webinar today in answering your current, sorry, Sarah, what is the poll?
It's, how useful was this webinar in terms of your current PE-related work? Very useful, useful, or not useful?
Thank
And put your answers in. I'll give it 2 more seconds to put it in. Closing it, and I'm going to go ahead and share your feedback. All right, so very useful, 25%, useful, 72%, not useful, 4%. Thank you for that.
Great, we're glad we found this useful. And the next question is, how well does this webinar answer your enhanced PE or PE-related policy questions? So go ahead and give you a second to launch and answer that one.
All right, going to give it 10 more or maybe 5 more seconds. Go ahead and put in your answer. All right, go ahead and close that and share the results. So it looks like we had 17%, let's see here, answered very well, 81% well, answered most, and then 2% some more questions to answer. That's as well.
Great, so we're glad. It seems like most of you got at least the basic information you were looking for from today, so thank you. We will go ahead and open up to questions and answers, and really a quick reminder about the continuing education credit. You will need to complete your ISB evaluation form and send it to Sarah with her email here. And if you've recorded this webinar and now downloaded it, you'll need to email Sarah to get your affidavit form as well. So we will go ahead and open this up to questions. I know some have come in throughout the webinar, so Sean, Jane, and myself are here to answer. So Sarah, what was some of the first questions?
All right, so why are we testing sophomores when they are not in PE all year that year? When sophomores not there.
Sean, would you be willing to take that question? Are you there, Sean? Well, so the task force, I can take a stab. We helped staff the task force. The task force was looking at the grades in which it would be important to obviously have students set their own fitness goals, but they looked at the feasibility of the high school grades and decided that the sophomore year was the best grade because it did not conflict with some of the college preparation testing like ACTs and SATs. It was a good time for students to be able to look at their fitness levels and still have a couple of years to make improvements in that. So they really felt like the sophomore year was an ideal time for the actual fitness testing, recognizing that some students are in health education or driver's education and other things as well. But they thought it was a good time in high school to not conflict with other major testing requirements and also provide time for that student to make improvement goals.
Next question, how do PE teachers enter data into the fitness grant program for students using Brockport tests? And they did note here, they asked about the fitness grant program, perhaps the paid version of fitness grant versus the free spreadsheet.
Yeah. Sean, are you on the call? So that is a question I think Sean can answer best. I don't know, Jane, if you have any experience with that specifically.
I do have experience with that. We do use the purchased fitnessgram. We do not use the ISB spreadsheet. And so the fitnessgram product itself is pretty self-explanatory of getting the reports, and then we enter it into the IWAS ISB report online.
And does it allow you a separate place for the Brockport exam within fitnessgram?
It does, yes.
And I think for this spreadsheet, you can probably enter in the Brock. I think there's either column for or a way to enter in the Brockport in whether or not you meet the healthy fitness zone or not. So the details from Sean, if that did not clarify things for you.
Great. Is administration responsible for maintaining evidence of the trainings? And yes, I can answer that. So your district is responsible for keeping some kind of record that the review of the protocols happened. Next question. Can you turn the data that you showed today into a PDF and post that?
Yeah, so I know the state, this is the first time we've actually seen the data as well. The state is just now grappling with the data. I think they are planning on creating a statewide overview document that will be a PDF that can be shared back to districts on what the statewide average was, so that you could then take it and compare it to your own local data. So I think there are plans in place to share that statewide average data in a form that's easily shareable across the state.
Can you explain why some students are receiving exempt slips from PE, especially students with disabilities? Students with direct service minutes are being exempted from PE. Can you explain how this is legal?
I think without knowing the specifics of that district, it's hard to answer that question. And if you are concerned about a specific district, I'd highly recommend you contact Sean at the State Board of Education, who can help you troubleshoot and figure out exactly where the problem is arising.
If you've already done a Pump Up P.E. training in the past, you advise taking the training again. How long after should it be? So I'd say about that, the Pump Up P.E. training, if you've been through it, if you feel like you could use a refresher, it is the same day that you've gone through. Of course, every time we have a new mix of teachers in the room. Part of what's great about the training is the peer-to-peer workshopping, so I'd really leave it to your discretion, but I would emphasize that it is the same training, and definitely spread the word to colleagues. And if you feel like you could use a refresher and go through that interactive stuff with other teachers, then by all means, we'd love to have you. Okay. We test at our school, and our students do well, but I'm still trying to understand the point of turning in our scores to state. Eventually, I could see this leading to issues. Am I missing something? Just wanting to know more about the purpose.
Yeah, I think when the task force created the recommendations, and I know from a public health advocates as we are, there's really an interest in tracking fitness over time. I think there's an interest in seeing if all of this work to enhance PE is going to make a difference. I think we certainly want to see that. I think the public health, there's not a lot of real-time data available to track fitness and health outcomes for students, and so this is another data set for public health advocates to also just help track aggregate data. And then I think it's also really good for schools and districts to see if you aren't performing to state average, maybe figuring out sort of the root cause of that. Is it because of school funding issues, resource issues? Maybe there's partners across the state who can somehow identify that and work with you to then get the resources you need to be able to do the programs you want. So I think it's one way to promote partnerships for people who have resources with people looking for resources, and to be able to help identify those schools in need, as well as just to be able to track progress over time to see how the enhanced PE movement, changes to the learning standards, changes to any state policy around PE, how those are impacting fitness at the state level. So again, it's good for individual students to improve their data, districts and schools to improve their curriculum, and then statewide to be able to track this over time.
And those are the questions we had so far. Are there any other questions? You can type them into the...
Yeah, we have about 1 minute remaining. So while I'll just see if there's any final questions, I will just again leave it on this final slide here. To get your continuing education credit, of course, contact Sarah. She can get all the forms you need to redeem your hour and verify that you did so. And of course, you can feel free to share. We'll send the recording of this webinar out today, and you can feel free to share it with your colleagues and anyone else you think might be interested. So do we have any final questions?
One final question. We didn't turn in the spreadsheets when we reported. Can we create our own spreadsheet? Do we have to use the ISB spreadsheet to report our data?
I do believe you can create your own spreadsheet. ISB's spreadsheet is really nice in the fact that they automatically calculate whether or not the student met the healthy fitness zone, so you don't have to do by hand looking at the fitness zone charts for every single individual student, which you would need to do otherwise. You would have to look at, let's say, the number of laps they did in the pacer, look at their age, their gender, look at it on the chart and figure out if that student met the healthy fitness zone or not, and you have to do that for all your students if you did it on your own. So the ISB website does have calculations in the Excel spreadsheet already that auto-populate. So it's a really useful tool. But in any way, as long as you can report for grades 5, 7, and 10 into the IWAS system by gender and by fitness exam, it's up to you on how you want to ultimately collect that at the school and classroom level. So with that, thank you all so much for joining today. We look forward to working with you. If you have any questions or concerns, let us know. Please check out the Pump Up PE training opportunities coming up. We'll let you know of additional ones that become available. And we are thinking of hosting another webinar in early 2018 with tips and tricks for providing daily enhanced physical education at your school level, at the local level. So thanks again, and have a good rest of your day.